welcome back to my channel. So happy Wednesday. It is mid-August now. It's a glorious sunny day and I've got the day off work. And what I thought I would do today is show you this hack that I've done of the True Bias Ogden Cami. Now, those of you who watch my channel regularly will know that I am a huge fan of the Ogden Cami. I've made a number of these now and I just think it is just a fabulous little cami. It's my go-to summer top and yeah, I really love it. Now, after watching the lovely, I think she's called Suzanne from Sew Custom. I will put a link to her channel down below. She is just an amazing seamstress and vlogger and she regularly drafts her own patterns every month. She's absolutely incredible. So I would advise, if you've not seen her, go and check her out and have a look at some of the amazing creations that she does. She never uses commercial patterns, not that I've seen. She tends to look at things in the shops and thinks, I'm going to have a go. And I've never really drafted anything myself before. I've only been sewing 4 years, as you know, and it's still quite new to me. And yeah, I thought that I would, after seeing her channel and having a look at how she did, she gives some really good tips. I thought that I would have a little go myself and see if I could hack the Ogden. So I will show you the finished article first. So what I've done, if you can see, is I've added this little ruffle flounce to the front of the Ogden Cami. This is made out of a blue viscose fabric that I had in my stash. It was really inexpensive and I think it was only a couple of pounds a metre that I got from eBay. And the flounce is attached just under the arm side here on both sides. It's not very deep, but yeah, it was very simple to do. I think once you know how to create a flounce, a hack like this is really simple to do. So I thought you might be interested to see how it's produced. So that's what we're going to do today. So here is the PDF version of the Ogden Cami. So I've printed this out and taped it all together, and what I tend to do is I tend to just trace off the size that I want, and because I have to manipulate the sizes for me anyway, because I tend to have to lengthen bodices. And the good thing about True Bias patterns, which you don't see on a lot of indie patterns, I'll be honest, is that she does put lengthen and shorten lines in here and you don't have to figure out where to put those yourself. So what I have done is I've traced off the main pattern pieces. So you've got the back cami piece, the front cami piece, you have the strap here, and then over here you have the facing, which is for the front, and also up here the facing for the back. So the first thing you want to do is check what measurements you are, have a look and see which size you need, and then either cut out or trace off the pattern pieces to fit you. Okay, so once you've got your pattern pieces either cut out or traced out, so I've got the two main body pieces here and the two facing pieces here. You want to make any adjustments that you need to make. As you can see, I've included, I think, a good 1.5 to 2 inches on the main bodice pieces here. You don't need to do that on your facing pieces unless you really want to. I haven't with mine. I have to do this adjustment on every bodice with me being 5'10" and long torsoed. I haven't got the strap piece here, but obviously you will need that as well. So what you're going to need to create your flounce piece is the front bodice cami piece first, okay? So you're going to need that. You're going to need some tracing paper. I use, this is greaseproof paper that I just buy from the pound shop. I think you get 10 metres for £1. It works really well. It's easy to see through and trace the pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to trace just the top half of this pattern piece first. Okay, so as you can see, I've traced around my pattern piece here and I've put the notch in for under the armhole, okay? Now, you can make the flounce as deep as you want. The flounce that I'm wearing on my top, I made 1 inch deeper than the notch on the armhole. Because I didn't want it too low and I thought that was a good guide point to go by. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw a line that's going to be perpendicular to the neckline piece from 1 inch below the notch on the arm side there, and just bring that round to the front fold point here on the front bodice. So I'll do that now. So as you can see, I've just joined that line up there to the front there. Now I've just eyeballed this. You can be really accurate if you want. That's entirely up to you. But as I say, I just do it by eye. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cut out this piece. Cut my piece out now. I've written on the fold mark to make sure that I'm reminded that I need to cut this piece on the fold when I'm done. And the next thing that I've done is I've marked some little notches along the bottom edge of what's going to be the flounce piece, and I've done this 1.5 inches from the folded edge. I've put the notch there, then another 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, another 1.5 inches, and that leaves me 1.5 inches there. So every 1.5 inches I've marked a notch along the bottom edge, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut up to the top of this piece, but without cutting through the actual top of the piece. And then we're going to slash, well, this is called slashing and spreading. So we're going to slash up to the top on each piece, and then we're going to spread and put some extra paper in behind. So I'll do the first one and show you what I mean. Okay, so if you can see, I've cut along that notch all the way up to the top, but without cutting through the actual piece. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open out this piece that I've cut by 1.25 inches, and then stick some paper beneath it so that it opens that out. So I'll do that and show you how that looks. Okay, so what I've done is I've now measured the distance between where I've cut by 1.25 inches, and then I've taped down where I've slashed. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way along. So we're going to make our next cut here that's going to go up to the top but without cutting through the piece, and then we're going to spread the two pieces apart and stick it down again, spreading it by 1.25 inches and stick it down again. And we're going to work our way all along until we've done all the notches. Okay, so when you've finished, when you've cut through all the notches and you've slashed and spreaded by 1.5 inches all the way along and stuck it down, you're going to end up with a piece that looks a little bit like this. So what we've actually done now is we've kept the neckline and the arm side distance is exactly the same as what it was before, although you will see that the neckline has curved slightly, but don't worry about that because it will work, trust me. But the bottom piece is now a lot longer, so this is what's going to create your flounce. So let's just get our other pattern pieces and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so going back to our pattern pieces, this is the point where you want to be cutting out your pattern. So you need to follow the pattern instructions and cut out all your pattern pieces. Obviously the main bodice pieces are on the fold of the fabric, as are the facing pieces, and your new flounce piece as well is also going to be on the fold of the fabric. So it looks like when you cut this flounce piece out and you've got it on the edge of the fabric, you will be a little bit concerned that because of how this curve is, that it's actually still going to be on the fold up here, but honestly it does work. You can always make, if you're worried about that or you overshoot it, you can always make the gaps between the pieces that you've slashed slightly smaller so that it's not as pronounced a flounce. That rhymes. But that's entirely up to you. But these are the measurements that I used for my flounce, and it works really, really well. So the normal order of construction of the Ogden Cami would be, if you pretend that this is the front piece because you've cut it out on the fold, you would stay stitch all the curved edges first to prevent them stretching out as you sew your pieces. So you need to do that with the front and back piece, the facing pieces, and you also need to do it now with your flounce piece. Okay, so obviously this will be cut out on the fold, and it's really important that you stay stitch the armhole edge and also the neckline edge as well, which will all be in one piece. So once you've stay stitched your curved edges of your front bodice pieces, your facing pieces and the flounce piece, and the next step would be to stitch your side seams of your front bodice and back bodice together and the front and back facing together. Now the next order of construction in the traditional instructions is to attach the straps, basting the straps to the front of the bodice, but we need to just turn our attention to the flounce piece first. The first thing that you need to do before you put your straps onto the front bodice piece is you need to make sure that you hem the bottom edge of the flounce. What I did with my flounce was I did a narrow hem on the bottom. So what I did was I stitched at a 2 millimeter stitch length, about 1/4 inch in from the raw edge all the way along the flounce edge on the fabric. Then I trimmed that down I pressed it under and then pressed it under again. Just having that stitching line there stabilises this bottom edge of the flounce so that when you're actually creating a narrow hem, it doesn't pull and twist out of shape. Now you can use a narrow hem foot if you want, but I have real trouble trying to get a narrow hem accurate with I just haven't mastered that technique yet. So this is the way that I tend to hem my, to create narrow hems. So you need to ensure that you do that first before you attach this piece, because the arm, the piece of the flounce that is attaching to the arm is going to be fixed into the body, so it needs to be hemmed first before we do our next step. So once you've hemmed the bottom of the flounce and you've stay stitched those curved edges, before we attach the straps to the front of the bodice, we need to attach the flounce, the hemmed flounce, to the front of the bodice, and you just need to baste it in. This curve will fit, honestly. I know it doesn't look like it because you've got this curve here and it's a straight edge there, but remember, all we've done is slashed and spread the bottom of the flounce. We've not altered this line at all, so it will curve in, and as that fits onto the front, this will flounce up. So the next step before you attach those straps is to attach your flounce by basting it all along the front bodice edge. The next thing you do is you then attach your strap and the facing pieces over the top and follow the rest of the cami instructions. That way you will find that when you turn everything out, the flounce is attached to the front of the bodice. The only other thing that you need to make sure of is that when you are attaching the facing pieces over the top of the main bodice, the strap and the flounce, that you don't get any of the fluted edges of the bottom of the flounce caught in your stitching. It's very easy to get them caught in, so make sure that you really check carefully while you're sewing so that they don't get caught in. And that's it. It will give you a really lovely flounced Ogden Cami. Okay, so I hope that was useful. If I can just show you the flounce a bit more sort of close up, I'll just try and bring things a little bit closer and just tilt my phone down to my chest. There you go. So you can see that the flounce is stitched into the side seam here, and it is in between the main bodice and the facing, so that works really, really well. I have done a narrow hem on the flounce underneath, that you can see that there, okay, and it's really important that you do that before you actually attach it, because otherwise once it's attached you'll find you won't be able to turn this under here and it'll look a bit messy. So it's really important that you hem that first, but as you fit the curve of the upper edge of the neckline to the neckline of the bodice, you will find that the rest of the fabric just flounces like this, and it's just lovely. I really, really, really like this. So as I say, I just made the depth of the flounce to about 1 inch past the notch on the underarm of the pattern piece, but you could make it longer if you wanted. I think you could also, if I just pull back a bit, you could also make this down into a deeper V at the front so that it really sort of curls down at the bottom. And to do that on the pattern piece, if I just get the flounce piece here, all you would do is you would just lengthen this bit here. That, if you remember, this is the bit that goes on the fold of the fabric. So you would just take this curve further down here, and then you would find that it would give you a deeper flounce at the front here. That's something that I might try myself. So yeah, so I hope you found that interesting. Have a go and see how you get on. It's really quite nice to think that, you know, this is the first time that I've ever hacked a pattern, really, and that's been quite successful. So, but I can't take credit for it. As I say, Suzanne from Sew Custom has done a few hacks like this with flounces, and it was from watching one of her vlogs that I got the idea and thought, I'm going to have a go at that on the Ogden, and I really love how this has turned out. So if you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'll be back very, very soon. I'm going on holiday next week to Portugal in about 4 or 5 days, so I'm really excited about that. But before that, I've got exams tomorrow at university, so I should be revising for that, so I'm going to go do that now. But I'm hoping to get another vlog out either just before I go to Portugal, or I'm hoping to have it done so that I can have it uploaded for you guys while I'm actually out there. And I've got some new fabrics to show you. I'm still got a few bits that I'm sewing that I'm trying to get finished for my holiday, hoping that I'm going to get time for that this weekend to get those finished off. So yeah, so that's it from me today, and I hope that I will see you all again very soon. Bye.